All right, welcome back, everybody. Well, I guess welcome back to all of you that have been here before. And for those of you that haven't, welcome. This is Civil Chat. My name is Brian. This is Brian with me, and we might have another Brian come in at some point. We're not sure yet. Um, he runs late a couple of times, but that's cool. So if you haven't joined us before, this is Civil Chat. This is your chance to ask us questions, and we do our best to answer them. And yeah, so like I said, this is you ask the questions, we answer the questions. If you don't ask the questions, then we'll just kind of chat and just kind of go on from there. Um, yeah, so if you ask a question, please put it in the Q&A panel. It makes our life a lot easier. We don't have to go searching through the webinar chat for the questions. We can find them right there in the question and answer panel. We can mark them as answered and all that fun stuff. Feel free to use the chat, though. It's there for you. Make fun of us, make fun of each other. Be kind to others. You don't have to be so kind to Brian and I. We can take it. But amongst yourselves, be kind because you don't know what some folks are going through.
Yeah.
Um,
And you're already being criticized on the chat saying, dude, you're a slack ass. I'm paraphrasing because I don't ever exaggerate. You need to actually get more descriptive on your YouTube channel.
yeah, I did that once and it took me an hour to do it, and I just haven't done it for the other ones. If anybody wants to go through my catalog of civil chats and find out what was talked about during the civil chat, and feel free. I suppose I could use AI to do that. I could upload the video to get the transcript and then upload that to an AI and say, hey, give me the topics and when they happen. I'll try that.
And that'll only take you 2 hours.
Right?
Yeah, I always go through and do it right after. If I don't do it immediately after and I come back like a week or two later, I'm like, wait, what were the questions? And then it takes about an hour to do. Yes.
Yeah. But no, I'll think about the AI thing. I kind of like that idea. I don't know. I'll think about it. Um, so yeah, so if again, ask questions. This is your chance to get your questions answered. There are other experts in here other than just Brian and I, and sometimes folks in the chat will be able to answer the questions too. So yeah, please feel free to do this stuff. It's fun.
And I just want to say one thing. I should not be included in the experts part of this. I'm just the narrator who
I
goes
was
asks
referring to
the
the other
questions.
Brian.
Okay, just checking because there's only two Brians here right now, and I'm not the other expert.
So I always like to try to start off by showing something interesting, right? So what I'm going to do is last month I was talking about using cropped surfaces, and somebody said, well, why don't you just reference part of the surface? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And I'm like, I go in there and I couldn't do it. So I've got a surface here, and if I right click on the surface, so I'm in Civil 3 2026. Let's get the exact about here. So you can see I'm in 2026.2. I don't remember which version of 26 this came out in, but it was 26. If I create a reference, you notice there's an option down here to reference part of the surface. And in my system, this is grayed out, right? And so last month I was unable to show this off. And so I just kind of went, oh, I'll have to look into it. Well, I looked into it and now I'm back. So I figured out why this is happening. So if anybody ever runs into this, the problem is in your drawing settings, right? So under surface, commands, create surface reference. So this is a command setting for, hey, I'm creating a reference surface. And in here, what you need to make sure is under surface creation that the option for stored reference surface in the drawing is set to yes. All right, if this is set to no, then you can't reference part of a surface. We have fairly large surfaces here at GEI, so I had turned off this option in our template because every time you save the drawing, it has to save the drawing and all the surface data that's in it. But if I set that to yes, now when I come in here to create a reference, you can see I get the option to create part of the reference part of the surface now. So that's what I had found. Now, just so we can see how this works, I'm going to turn that off. And there is the reference surface. Ooh, right? Really cool. I'm just going to go ahead and erase that. And this time I will create the reference again. I will reference part of the surface. And by the way, folks, we don't have any questions yet, so you might want to ask some.
No,
All right,
but
so I'll
but
turn
but on a
on the
side
reference.
note, when you record this, you can actually get the chat too. So I'm putting not AI notes in there, letting you know the topics you discussed.
All right, so I'll go ahead and select OK to that. I'm going to select that polyline as the boundary for my surface, and you can see it references in just that part of the surface. Now, we are kind of mixed right now. We have some folks that are using Civil 3D 2025 and some folks that are using Civil 3D 2026. So what happens if I take this drawing here and I open it up in an older version that doesn't have the option to reference part of a surface? I have no idea. I was going to test this out, but then I thought to myself, you know what? It'd be kind of fun to do live at Civil Chat. So we're going to do it live. All right, so let me
And
go ahead
that's
and save
great
this
because
drawing
we're
here.
still buying time for questions. So
Right.
I'm glad you decided not to pre-test it because we still need some questions.
Yep. So let me go ahead and save this. I'll just save it over that. So this was drawing two. So I've got 2025 open here. So what happens if I go open that drawing? I gotta go find it. All right, there's that drawing. Would you like to open it? Read only? Yes. So it seems to work in 2025. What if I reload the reference or synchronize it? Still seems to work. So that's cool. So what happens if I change the source now? So I'm going to come back over here. So I'm back in, let's come back over to 2026. So here I'm in 2026. I'll go ahead and open up that source. I'll make a slight little change to it here.
You have a
Or if
couple
I
people
can't.
making a note. You're in read only, so you can't sync because you had it open in 26.
What?
In 25, you did a synchronize the surface, but they're saying you can't do that because you're read only because you still had it open in 26. I don't. I'm just. Don't blame the
I should still be
non-expert
able to
here.
sync it. The surface isn't read only. The drawing is read only. So you should still be able to. I mean, it doesn't matter if I've got the drawing open read only or not. I should still be able to synchronize the surface.
Wow, three people
So,
said if you read the command line, it said it didn't synchronize.
okay, I'll have to double check that.
Hey, I'm just don't
No,
blame the
you're
messenger.
good. Cannot synchronize. Interesting. Yeah, right there. Cannot synchronize read-only drawings. All right, well, let's try that. Let me come over to 2026 now. Go ahead and close this drawing. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Uh, same changes. Back in 25, we'll go ahead and close this drawing and reopen it. So it's no longer read-only. All right. And now what happens if we synchronize it? Well, still seems to work. No issues resynchronizing it. So let's switch back over to 26. I don't even know if I can edit the surface. We'll try it. Yeah, perfect. Go ahead and save this drawing. And then come back over into 2025, and then we will synchronize. There it goes. So unfortunately, it does not work if the surface changes and you synchronize, then you lose that partial reference. So that's good to know. So I will, as far as my template goes, I'm going to keep that variable set so that people can't do a partial reference because of this, because we're currently a mixed office. Um, oh, yeah. Um,
And Max asked the question, said, considering you need to change that variable, now that you know about it, are you going to recommend the new workflow to your users, or are you going to recommend the workflow you talked about last month?
So for my users, I'm going to continue to recommend the workflow that I recommended last month, which is the cropped surface, because of what we just saw here, right? Um, if this worked just fine in 2025 with the 2026 cropped or the partial reference, then I probably would go with the partial data reference. But until everybody in our office is up and running on 2026, which we've run into some issues with file saving and Panzura and things like that, we're going to keep both versions. So I'm not going to enable that on our system. So yeah, I think I'm going to go back to my template and edit that out. I was really hoping it would work, but it's just not. So, um, yeah, that's all I had planned for doing our little intro. We got one question so far in from Tom, who is probably trying to be nice and provide me with something to talk about because Tom's awesome like that. Thanks, Tom.
Joel just followed up. You said something about Panzura and having issues. He says he's also having issues. So what were you discussing with your Panzura issues?
So the issues that we have is with saving drawings in 2026 to Panzura. So sometimes when you save a drawing, the drawing becomes locked. So let's say for example, I'm working in this drawing and I'm saving it to our network, which is on Panzura. Every once in a while, when I save the drawing, it says, "Oh, you can't save this drawing because it's locked." I've already saved it like 3 or 4 times, but then the next time I save it, the drawing's locked. And so what we have to do is we have to save it to a different name and then save it back over the original. And so because of that, we are not forcing everybody to go to 26 at this point. We are allowing people to use 25 or 26. We haven't had that issue at all with anybody that's using ACC or storing things locally. So we're suspecting it has something to do with Panzura. So that's about all I know. It has something to do with the way drawings are saved. So if I remember correctly, what happens when you save a drawing is you'll save the drawing, you'll run the command, and what AutoCAD will do is it'll take the current drawing that you have in your memory, your RAM, and it'll make it into a temp file. It will then take the old backup file, delete the backup file, take the old drawing, rename it to being a backup file, and then take the temp drawing and rename it to be the DWG. That's my understanding, and I could be missing something there, but that's kind of the overview of how the saving process works in CAD. And in that process somewhere, there's a delay or a glitch or something that happens every once in a while that ends up locking the file.
Is that partially
So
because somebody's saving too fast before it's actually done doing that whole process?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So way back when you and I used to work together, there was a
Uh-huh.
person who kept saying in AutoCAD, their files would just disappear off of their computer because we found out they were triple clicking the save icon. So they were
Oh
going save,
wow.
save, save. And literally, we were trying to troubleshoot this for months, and finally, we were actually out at the person's office, and we watched the person work. And she's like, "Watch," and you watched her triple click. So my question is it the fact that that save process is taking 15 or 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and somebody's saving before that process is done, or is it the fact that somebody's saving like 30 minutes later and it still happens?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got our IT department troubleshooting this one for us. So, but I'll definitely consider that. That might be an option.
Yeah,
So
because way back when it was literally we finally visited the person and realized they were triple clicking the save icon, and
that's
Windows would
hilarious.
just this is like 20 years ago, but Windows would literally just freak out and the file would disappear off of Windows. Like just gone. They still have the file open, they're still in the AutoCAD file, the file will just disappear. Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the chat where people are saying, yeah, they've seen these issues with 25 as well. Other people saying the 25 to 26. Someone says it sounds like it's a DFS issue. So a lot of comments, and I guess this is not an uncommon issue.
Yeah. And I'm glad to hear it's not just us. So uh, it is what it is. And but we're not having the issue in 25, and we are having the issue in 26. Um, yeah, everybody that's had the issue in 26 that has reverted back to 25, the issue has gone away.
Interesting.
So yeah. So my IT guys are working with our reseller support team to try to figure out what might have changed in the safe process that we can account for. Panzura doesn't know, or reseller support doesn't know, and so I don't know.
No, looks to me like this is a larger issue because people are saying it's happening outside
Yeah,
of Panzura. Also with 24, somebody said they've had the issue in 25. Sounds like it's a bigger issue than just Panzura in 26.
yeah.
So we did have a follow-up comment on that. You pointed to
Okay.
differences regarding 25 and 26, like the surface issue. We're trying to make global migration to 25 or 26 and wonder what they should choose. So what are the differences or things that you might be seeing between 25 and 26 that might help them decide why would it be good to go to 26 or
If you're
not?
not using Panzura, I would say go to 26. Um, the 26 has all the drainage tools in it. So let's see, I'm in 26 now. So if I come up here to the home tab, we have the ability to create ponds, underground storage, channels. There's some drainage calculation things that are built into it. So all of that stuff is in 2026. If I come back over here to 2025, if I go to the home tab, you'll see those just aren't there. And so this is where all the new stuff is being put in. So I would recommend going to 2026. It's been out for a while now. It's, as far as I know, pretty stable, except for this Panzura bullshit. I'm sorry, did I
Well,
say
that
that out loud?
and that just
Um,
seems like you because multiple people are saying it's same versions, no Panzera. So I think you just happen to have that shed its light in 26 when other people have had that problem for 2 years. So,
yeah,
and I will also note that we are now in March, and historically, Autodesk products come out in March, so 27 will be coming out any week
yeah.
now.
March or
Um,
March or early April. Yeah,
yeah. So just saying, for you, Civil 3D, but the AutoCAD will be out this month.
yeah,
Mid-April will probably be Civil 3D. So, you are within a month of probably seeing 27 come out. So if you're going to upgrade, do you want to upgrade to 2 years old or 1 year old version?
yeah. That's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah. And Adam's saying if you do drainage work, definitely go to 26.
excellent.
Cool. All right. So we're going to skip Tom's question since you think it was a
We,
fluff.
yeah, we'll come back to it
Come
if we
back to
need
it if
time.
we have
Tom,
time.
if that's a if you weren't just helping me out, let us know. But I have a feeling you were just trying to give me something to talk about, which I truly appreciate. I do, but if it is an honest question, I will definitely address it. And if we run out of time, I'll come back and address it either, anyways. Or
So,
not run out of time, run out of
yeah,
questions.
Tom said just helping
This is what
out.
I mean,
So,
not what I said.
so Robert asks, is there a way to create contour labels, be in the surface drawing, and then made into a data reference and have the contour label show up in the surface that is data referenced or alignment stationing?
That's a fantastic question. So really what the question boils down to is I've got a surface here and I've labeled the surface. Now, when I reference the surface into other drawings, I don't want to have to relabel it in that other drawing, or I've got an alignment. I don't want to have to relabel it in that other drawing. I just want the labels to go with it. Does that sound about right, Robert? What you're kind of asking? Okay, perfect. So currently, there's no way of doing that. The surfaces and alignments, the labels do not go with it. Let me open up another drawing here real quick. We'll go to sample files, Autodesk. If any of these have labels on them, we'll find out. Yeah, they do. Okay. So really the only labels that will come in, at least that I can think of, that will come in through a data reference is pipe networks. So if I create a data shortcut to this pipe network, data shortcuts. Oh, gotta set my working folder. Let's see, let's put it to here. There we go. Now we'll create the data shortcuts. So I'm just going to do this pipe network here. And so okay, so this annoys me. I just reinstalled CAD on over the weekend, and so I haven't gone through and reset everything. I've got things that are docked over here on the left-hand side. So you can see I got my layer properties manager, I've got my design center. And the problem I have is I need to come over here and click this little plus symbol, but I go a little bit too far and then it pops up. I have to move all the way off. And then let me go grab it again. Oh, I moved too far again. It's so annoying. So if you're not aware of this, if you right click on any of these palettes that are docked, you can change this to icons only, and then you just get the icons up here. So now if I go too far, who cares? There's no palette there for me to trigger. So it's just one of those things that annoy me. So we've got this pipe network here. Let me go ahead and create a new drawing. I'm going to go ahead and data reference this in. And when I create a data reference for a pipe network, maybe it pop up on another screen, or is it just taking a really long time? Wow, this is taking forever. Pop up somewhere else, didn't it? There it goes. What you'll notice is there's an option here to include source labels. I have no idea why that took so long. All right. But anyway, so if I toggle this on, what it's going to do is it's going to take the labels from the source drawing and bring them in with the data reference. Now, it's not referencing the labels. So if I make changes to the labels in the other drawing, they're not going to change in this drawing. It's just as I'm creating this reference, those labels are going to come in with it. Let's see, I don't know, try 30 scale. At least they should have. Maybe this drawing probably didn't have those label styles in it. That's probably why they didn't come in. But that's the idea. That's the only one that I'm aware of. The pipes are the only ones that I'm aware of that has that option. Now, if you have, oops, let's go to the source drawing here. So this is my source drawing of this, right? And I want to label this. So let's see, let's go annotate at labels. We'll do the surface. We'll do contour multiple at interval, because that one's always fun. All right, we'll pick the first point. I want to label those contours there. So now I've got all of these labels. Like I said, these will not come through. However, what you can do, I'm not sure how these are set up. Okay, perfect. So the line is being displayed. So what you can do is you can take these and let's see, I've got, do I still have that other drawing open? Okay, sweet. I've got this drawing here. You can take those lines, select similar on them, and explode them. Right? They become, I think they just become blocks, right? Yeah. And then you can take those blocks and explode them. And then you get text and a line underneath it. You can take those lines, select similar on those lines. Now I've got all those lines, and I can just then copy them into that other drawing. All right, so I'll just do paste origin. And now I've got all those lines in this drawing. Now, when you go to create contour labels, and now this might not work super well with the individual labels. There is an option, so let me come up here to annotate surface contour. I think it has to be contour single. When you're doing this, no, sorry, contour multiple. There's an option for objects when you're adding these labels. Erase the original entity, sure. Select objects. Ooh, this is gonna work. I don't want this rectangle. And I've just made those lines into contour labels now. Okay. So when you're dealing with contour labels, this is the best way I know of to get contour labels from one drawing into another drawing. And then obviously that other drawing where you did all the exploding and stuff, don't save that drawing, undo to get it back the way it was, right? Ooh, a couple people have posted that you can just copy paste the labels directly. I've never tried that before. Let me undo.
Yeah, I was going to say Adam says you can do that, but then it also brings in the source surface. So then you can just delete the source, rehost the labels to the new surface, and then delete the old surface. And Tom typed the same thing.
So these are now back to being contour label lines. So if I copy those, let me just do this in the same version so we're not worried about version issues, because I was looking at 25 earlier. Create the reference. Extents. Paste origin. So it does bring in the other surface. I can just delete that surface. The label lines go away with it. So I must have to repath the label lines first.
Yes.
So select similar on the label lines, go into my properties, and I should be able to choose which surface it's using. It's now using the data reference surface instead of the copied surface. And then I can get rid of the copied surface. And it should work now. Yeah, that works too.
Don't you love it when you get a tip?
Looks like I've got a slightly different interval on the contours. That's why some of it's not perfect, but if I use the same style for the surface, it probably would be.
Do you love it when you get a tip in your own presentations that you're like,
I love it. I love learning new stuff. Absolutely fantastic.
One of the best things for me.
I also love finding out that I'm wrong. I hate being wrong, and if I find out that I'm wrong, then I can stop being wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, Nathan's in the chat says would probably be quicker to just relabel the surface in the new drawing. In this example, yeah. But if you had a survey surface and you went through and meticulously placed the labels exactly where you needed them to be, then this trick could come in really handy. Now, when it comes to alignments, that's just a label set, right? So if I come back over here to this drawing, I got this alignment here. And if I data reference this in, the labels are not going to go with it. However, these labels are part of a label set. So if I select one of my labels here, and I edit the label group, I can save this as a label set, right? So I'll just save this as, Ryan's label set. Under my settings tab, under alignment, label styles, label sets, I now have Brian's label set, which I can then drag into my other drawing. So here in the drawing where I want the alignment to be eventually, you'll notice under alignment label styles, label sets. I do not have Brian's labels. But if I come back to the drawing where they're in, alignment, label styles, label sets, I can just take this label set and drag it into my drawing. And any styles that that label set is referencing that aren't already in this drawing will be brought in as well. So now under the drawing that I'm in, you can see there's Brian's label set. And if we take a look at, say, for example, the station, you can see, I don't know which one it was using. Labels, it was just using the standard styles, which is just bleh. But anyways, if the standard styles didn't exist in the drawing already, they would be brought in. And I don't think we have standard styles in this drawing by default, so. So, all right.
Beautiful.
So hopefully that answers your question, Robert. As far as, you know, and then the same thing goes for profiles. Profiles have a label set. Lines. So another thing to remember, you can also label through an XREF, and you can also just XREF a surface if your goal is just to look at the surface. If you're not using the surface for alignment profiles or corridors or volumes or anything like that, if the goal of having this surface in the drawing is just to look at it, just XREF it, and then you will see the labels there as well. So you don't have to relabel it down. However, if you need to use the surface, if you XREF it and then data reference it, then that surface is in your drawing twice. So you gotta be careful about that.
Beautiful. So there's a comment / question on here.
Mhm.
Can you do in a future civil chat new drainage commands? So
I
can
should
you
be able
do?
to. Yeah, I'll plan on doing that the next civil chat.
Yep. So start your beginning off with that. And Robert, you
Yep.
realize if you want him to show something, you ask a question about it, and then you're forcing him to just show the new commands. So just saying, if your question would have been, hey, I have a question on the drainage command on how to do X, that's how you get Brian to show it.
Yeah, and that way we can both learn together at the same time.
But I'll remind Haley that's what he's going to start off with next month, if in case he forgets. So Max has a question. Just interested to get an outside opinion on this. But sometimes we get drainage drawings provided to us with survey points in a different standard. Our recommended workflow used to be copy and paste the outside drawing into our template. However, copying points in more recent Civil 3D versions has been impossible without crashes. Any advice?
So I'm going to rephrase it, Max. Let me know if I got the gist of your question correctly. You've got a drawing that has points in it. And as far as like the standards go, it's not using your point styles and your label styles based off of maybe your description keys, right? And then you want to change that so that it is based off of your description key set. Or is it you don't have a description key set and you just need to just change the styles manually? Is it okay? So I guess my question is, do you want to continue to use the drawing that the points were in, or do you want them to be in a different drawing that is your template?
He said correct to your first question.
That's my first question. Okay. Different drawing. Okay,
different
perfect.
DWG.
Okay. So copying, pasting points, I would go with you on that. I wouldn't do that. My go-to would be I would export the points to use the export points tools. There. I will demonstrate. I have the ability. Let's see. Let's go back to tutorials, drawings, and points. Sorry. There we go. So I've got points in this drawing, and I need to take them out and put them in another drawing. There's a couple of different ways we can do this. If you're familiar with the survey database, you can just add the points to the survey database and then go into the other drawing and then put the points into the drawing from the survey database. So that's one method. The other method is to export your points out to a file and then import those points into your new drawing. And then as you import them in, you can have them go through the description keys, right? So I've got points in this drawing. To do this, we will go to the Output tab up on the ribbon, and we will, it's up here somewhere, export points, right? So I'm going to export the points out of this drawing, right? I've never known anybody use the Autodesk uploadable file. I've never used it. If anybody's ever used this and had success with it, I'd love to hear it. I don't know where and when it's going to be used for. The one caveat that you have to be aware of is your points might have extra data on them that these point file formats can't handle. So I believe in this tutorial file, if I remember correctly, let's see, there's some manhole points in here. And if we go edit list points on one of these, edit points. And I could be just remembering wrong. Yeah, so you can see this has like the manhole pipe outer material, manhole pipe outer invert out diameter. So these points have extra data on them that aren't typical. So if your points have that, you're going to have to create a point file format that includes that information with them as you export them out to your point file and then back into the new drawing. If you're just worried about the point number, northing, easting elevation description, you don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to assume that's all we want in this case. So again, I'll come up here to export points. I'm going to use a PNEZD, point number, northing, easting elevation description, comma delimited. I'm not going to do any sort of transformation. If your points are in one coordinate system and you're taking them into another coordinate system, that's when the transformation will come into play. And let's see, I'm just going to do my detention pond manholes. I'm not going to do every point that's in the drawing. I just want to do this group of points. And then I need to specify the file that they're going to. We'll throw this here and we'll call it civil chat points. And then as I go into a new drawing, I can then just import those points, which is pretty straightforward. There's a couple of different ways to do it. You could go to insert points from file, you go home, points, point creation tools, and then you hit the little, they both do the same thing. So if you already have your create points toolbar up, you can just hit the create points button, but add that file, choose the appropriate point file format. This is the same one I exported out. I typically like to add points to a point group as I import them, but in this example, I'm not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and bring them right in. And now you can see I've got those points in this drawing based off of the standards that are in this drawing. So that's the approach I would take. You could, like I said, you could also use the survey database, just take the points, add them to the survey database, and then bring them in. I wonder if that would preserve the extended data on those other points. But I don't know. Let's see if we can figure that out. It's been so long since I've been in the survey database. Let me go ahead and create a new local survey database. We'll call this one civil chat. Sweet. We'll come over to this drawing and import. I thought there was we could import them from a drawing. We should be able to do that. Points from drawing. There it is. Just go ahead and do them all. So now I have all these points in the drawing. So if I could go create a new point or a new drawing, and then I can come down here to survey points, insert into drawing. And the ones I'm interested in are those manhole points. So that looks like a manhole point. If we edit that point, it did not come in with all that extended data. So yeah, it's That did not work. I was hoping it would work, but apparently it didn't.
And some
Interesting.
other questions were inserting as a block and then exploding the block. But some people have said, yeah, Max says he's tried that, but that's very slow as well. Um,
Okay.
and Adam said, well, if you don't want him to copy paste, just undefine the copy paste command and force him to do it the right way, which is a man after my own heart, Adam. Max says, yeah, he agrees that's probably the right way. It's just hard to explain that and teach that to a new user.
Yeah. That kind of gets down to like the explode command. So if you notice during this session, I did use the explode command. Um, I am not 100% against the explode command. I just think in most cases people use the explode command when they shouldn't be. And so what I would like is I would like somehow to have like electrodes that are in the mouse and maybe your chair that every time you use the explode command, it gives you a slight little shock. Not enough to be like dangerous or anything, just enough for you to go, do I really want to explode this? You know?
Yeah, there's an add-on utility for Revit called Guardian where you can allow people to do it, but it will literally throw a giant dialog box. Are you sure you want to do this on things like, yeah, yeah. Adam just says, no, you
That's
redefine the paste command to be, I'm not supposed to do this paste. That's the new command that comes up.
But I use paste to get things between drawings all the time. So there's nothing, especially AutoCAD entities. Um, if say for example, where's my other drawing? And there we go. All right, so I got a rectangle in here, like I did with the lines in here. I copied the AutoCAD lines from this drawing, and I pasted them into this drawing using the origin. And then, yeah, user-defined properties. That's what they're called, Chris. Thank you. On those points, like the manhole point, the extra data, those are user-defined properties, and apparently they don't work in the survey database. So
And Tom said if they are using UDPs, I think they have to be defined in the target drawing prior to import.
that's probably what it was. Yeah.
And Tom did put a follow-up in the chat that his first question was somebody asked him to document the process of creating a company-specific profile in a new version of Civil 3D. So I'm pretty sure he asked you this so he could just take your video and do that as his documentation. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Tom's like, hey, I don't want to really document this. I'll just post a clip to Brian's Civil chat.
Yeah, so um, you get a new version of Civil 3D, and it's time to get this version ready for everybody out there, everybody in your organization that's going to be using it. What are the steps to do that? So what I did is it's going to vary on depending upon your organization, what add-in tools you have, how you've got things set up, those types of things. So my recommendation is go through the process once and document it. Right. And that way, so I'm going from 26 to 27. What do I need to do to get 27 up and running the same way that we've got 26 up and running? What are those steps that I have to go through? And then document those steps. So that way, when you get to 28, you're going to say, hey, this is what I did to get to 27. So I'm going to do the same thing to get to 28. And inevitably, you've missed some documenting something. So then you would update the document for when you go to 28. And that's exactly what I've done. So I've put it in I don't know. I'm over here. It came up on my other screen. All right, so I've got one here called, where is it? Deployment. Right. And so these are the steps that I go through when I update to a new version. And I went through and I documented like every single thing that I changed. Like say, for example, if I go into my options dialog box, right, under system, these are the buttons. This is the configuration that I have for this. And so if I come over here to my work through, you'll see this, launch program and create new profile, go through all options and compare old version with the new one. And so this was the, where are we on? System tab. So if I go find the system tab, it says the layout regen options, cache model tab and all layouts. So layout regen, cache model tab and all layouts. So these are the things that I changed from the defaults. This isn't necessarily what each setting is, but general options, reset any head emission. So, you know, as I'm working through this, I might hide a system message. Well, I don't necessarily want those to be hidden from all of my users. So I'll go into the hidden message settings and I'll reset those hidden messages so that when I create that profile and I give it out to my users, then they'll have those hidden messages displayed for them. But you just go through and you just document everything that you do, right? So we have some specific list routines that we use that I need to update for the new version. I have my synchronization routines that I need to update for the new versions because the support files are in a different location on our network for 26 than they are for 25. And so you just go through and document it. It's really not too terribly hard. The CUIs need to be updated. You got some extra things, catalogs, those types of things. But in general, just go through it once and document it all, and you're off to the right races the next time you do it.
Tom said he doesn't feel too bad. His check looks pretty similar.
Nice.
And then Robert did follow up while you were covering there. Since you're on points, in the point description key set, I cannot get codes cable TV and cable TV HH. Sure, that's not what that stands for, but I'm going to say it. To be two different symbols. Is a space not allowed in the key set? Are wildcards allowed in point description key set?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Robert. So let's talk about description key sets here real quick. So settings tab up here on my tool space, point, description key sets, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a new description key set. And let's talk about description keys. So I'm going to go edit my keys here. So the way these codes work, right? So, and this is really bad because there's actually a space in here on the default code. And as you've discovered, Robert, that doesn't work. And so the way the codes work is everything before the first space is the code. That is the point code, right? And then you put in a space, and then everything after the first space and before the second space is the first parameter. And then after that next space is the second parameter, and the third parameter, and so on and so forth. Right? So in your example, you have the cable TV, so you have CATV, and then you have CATV space HH. So for that particular description, CATV space HH, the code is cable TV, and then the first parameter is HH. So both CATV and CATV space HH would be the same code because they are. It's just one point has a parameter and the other point does not. So if you want them to have different point styles and different settings, right? So here, let me just type them in here real quick. So I'll do, so you had CATV as one. So for those of you that are not familiar with description key sets, this was one of my big pet peeves with them. I need to create another description key. How do I do that? There's nothing here that says, there's no button here that says, hey, click here to create a new description key, right? There's no buttons up here. There's nothing over on the sides, anywhere. One of the things I like to say when you're working in Civil 3D, when in doubt, right click. So I right click down here and there's no option to create a new description key here either. I don't know why they hid this. It drives me crazy. You have to right click on an existing key and then you'll get the option to create a new one. Why? Why? Right. And then the other one was CATV space HH. So in this case, your HH is the first parameter, right? Actually, it's not because it'll just see it as CATV, and the HH here in the code doesn't do anything because if you were to put CATV space HH in the point, it's going to match on CATV because the HH is the first parameter,
So you could do
right?
underscore or dash. Is there a problem with like hyphens or anything?
Or don't put a space at all,
Yeah.
right? Just
So
use
Joel is asking,
CATV HH.
can you change the code delimiter to something other than a space?
I don't think you can. I don't think that's possible. I think the code delimiter is always going to be the space. And so if, for those of you that might not know about the code delimiter, let me go ahead and create another one here. This is great for like trees. So we'll call this one tree, right? And then my point, the format. So the format takes the raw description, what was coded out in the field, and makes it into a full description, which is what you're going to display in the drawing, right? So the format will be, see, we'll go, so I want this to be, the survey is going to code this tree space, and then the size of the tree in inches, space, and then the type of tree, right? But I want that to be, 24-inch oak tree. So I'm going to put in parameter 1, which will be $1, and then the inch symbol, space, and then parameter 2, which would be the species, space, tree. So when I go create a point now, just go points, create point creation tools. Not sure how this is set up. Let's go to the prompt for. So I want to prompt for description here. So I want to manually put in my description. So when I create this now, my description is elevation will be, I don't know, 100. Why did it not prompt me for my description? Because I said it's none instead of manual. That's why. Let's try that again. My elevation will set it to 100, and then did I mess that up again? Prompt for description is set to manual. Enter point description. There we go. Maybe I was still in the command. I didn't get out of the command. This will be tree space 24 space oak. And the elevation will be 100. So if we go edit this point now, you can see the raw description is tree 24 oak, but the full description is 24-inch oak tree. That's where those parameters come into play. So
And Joel was just
that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the parameters on points.
and Joel said in line work codes you can change the code delimiter, so he was hoping it would be there for points.
Yeah, you can definitely change it there. So if you go to the line work code sets and edit that, you can see the coding, the feature code delimiter is a space by default. So yeah, you can change it for that, but I don't think you can change it for the description key sets. Yeah. Does anybody know of a way to change it? I don't think I don't think it can be changed. So
And we're almost at the bottom of the hour, and that's all the
awesome.
questions.
Excellent. So it's
And
last call for questions if you got something you think I can answer in the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and call it a day. Thank you everybody for showing up today. I do appreciate it. And we will be back again next month. Next month, the plan is to talk about the drainage tools. And yeah, we'll go from there. See what we can figure out on that.
And I
So
also did, so you know, put not AI notes in there in the comments. So if you want to, get your bullet points, there you go.
I appreciate that, Brian. That's awesome. All right. And we will talk to y'all again next month. Y'all have a great time, and we'll see you there.
Thanks,
Take
everyone.
care, everyone.